viewers, my name is Musa Masood Khan. Welcome to Musa's channel. I already explained to you the formation and structure of the solar system in my previous videos, for which I've given the link in the description. But just to recapitulate, I will give you a brief introduction to the solar system. Its main structure has been divided into two vast areas known as the inner and outer solar systems. In between the inner and outer solar systems is a huge ring of debris left over from the solar system's formation, known as the asteroid belt. Then at the edge of the outer solar system, or beyond the orbit of Neptune, is another ring of asteroids and icy debris, known as the Kuiper belt, where we find most of the dwarf planets we know of today. Beyond the Kuiper belt is then the scattered disk, which is a huge disk that spans for millions of miles, and beyond, further than that, at the edge of the solar system is a huge sphere of icy debris and rock which envelops the entire solar system, known as the Oort cloud. Now, in today's episode, I have brought a very amazing topic, that is the hypothetical objects of the solar system. Now, over many decades and centuries, scientists have proposed hypothetical planets which they believe might have existed at one point of time in the solar system. But we don't find them when we do exploration in our solar system and beyond. Some are like completely mythical, while some do have solid evidence that could prove that they actually existed. But let's not forget that without these hypothetical objects, who knows how different our solar system could have been today. So we will discuss about these objects in the topics shown over here: hypothetical star, hypothetical rocky planets, hypothetical gas giants, hypothetical ice giants, hypothetical moons, and hypothetical dwarf planets. Now, moving to our first topic, that is hypothetical star. Now, scientists believe when the sun formed from the collapsing of a solar nebula, it was still an embryonic star and was still growing from the income of hydrogen gas. It is believed that another star, perhaps a smaller brown or red dwarf star, formed alongside our proto-sun, known as Nemesis, and both of them could have become like a binary star system in which stars literally orbit around each other. For example, the Alpha Centauri system. But because the sun was much older and was much bigger than Nemesis, it could have gravitationally disturbed its orbit and flung it out of the early solar system and ended up like millions upon billions of light years away. But scientists did not find it anywhere like that, so they created a new theory that suggests that Nemesis, just a few million years after it was formed, got crushed by the sun's immense gravity, giving a new shape or a new disk to the sun, from which the solar system would finally emerge. But overall, we don't have solid evidence if this actually happened or not. Moving on to our second topic, that is the hypothetical rocky planets. Now, the most amount of hypothetical objects in the solar system are in the rocky planets category. First on the list is Vulcan. Vulcan was named after the Greek or Roman goddess of fire. Vulcan was a hypothetical object proposed to have existed during the 18th century to find a solution to the particular anomalies or disturbances that they found in Mercury's orbit. For example, Mercury, instead of having a perfect circular orbit, it was like having an X-shaped orbit and many other anomalies. Some scientists even claimed to have spotted Vulcan by the telescope, but of course they were lying because it doesn't exist. But now a new theory has emerged regarding Mercury's core. Like, how can something so small have a core which takes up almost 80% of its mass? So the prevailing theory is that Mercury during its first million years was a much bigger planet, somewhere between the orbits of Venus or maybe Earth, and then Vulcan brushed past Mercury, but this brush was also strong enough to rip or strip Mercury of its outer layers, leaving behind an inner core which started heading for the sun. But fortunately, it decelerated and survived, and all the lava cooled down to form a thin layer of rock around the huge iron core. But this doesn't actually prove if volcan existed, so this has also been hypothesized as fake. Now moving to our next hypothetical rocky planets, those are Proto-Earth and Theia. Theia, you must have heard the name in many of my previous videos. I'll remind you again that Theia was a Mars-sized planet. Take away a few hundred kilometers between the orbits of Venus and Earth. And Proto-Earth is like not a separate planet, it's like an older version of our Earth. The only difference is it was smaller in size and lacked materials like iron and nickel. So the prevailing theory is known as the giant impact hypothesis, in which both planets got stuck in a single orbit and kept getting closer to each other over the span of 50 million years, and until they finally crashed into each other. While the mass of both planets merged together to form our Earth, the flung out debris formed a ring system which would eventually coalesce to form our moon as we know it today. Now we do have solid evidence that can prove these two planets existed in the past, because we first found out that Earth and the moon are both made up of same materials with the same isotopes containing in both rocks and dust. And scientists recently last year discovered two huge slabs of crust under Africa and the Pacific Ocean. So people think that these could be some of the remnants of Theia and Proto-Earth. So this kind of proves that the Earth and the Moon are a mixture of both planets. So it could be real. The next hypothetical rocky planet, that is planet V. It is popularly also known as planet number 5 because scientists believe it existed in the asteroid belt and was on the 5th number from Mercury to Neptune. Now it was a Pluto-sized planet, so it wasn't really big at all. Now the prevailing theory is that when the late heavy bombardment occurred, in which Jupiter got close to the asteroid belt, causing the asteroids to collide with the early rocky planets, planet V may have traveled towards the Sun and crashed into it, or could have crashed into Mars, creating the massive Borealis basin, which covers almost the entire northern hemisphere of Mars. But we still don't have any solid evidence for this hypothetical rocky planet. Next on the list is Phaeton. Phaeton is a huge rocky planet hypothesized to have existed between Mars and Jupiter, but by some gravitational disturbance got ripped apart and formed the asteroid belt. But it is almost impossible for this big of a planet to form without absorbing any gases and becoming a gas giant. So this is also maybe or maybe not true. Now the last hypothetical rocky planet is counter-Earth. The concept of counter-Earth can be traced back to the era of the ancient Greeks. They called it, in their language, they called it Antichthon. The concept was that there was another Earth-like planet that existed in the same orbit but on the completely opposite side, so we cannot see it. It may have been the same size as the Earth, same atmospheric composition, like a twin brother to our Earth, maybe even life. Now scientists say it is impossible for that to happen without both any of the planets crashing into the other one. And if it is, it must be a very delicate balance, because even if a single asteroid or comet passes through, it could have devastating effects, causing both of the planets to crash and obliterate each other. This was all about the hypothetical rocky planets. Now let us move to our next topic, that is the hypothetical gas giants. The first on the list is Tyche. Tyche is a hypothetical gas giant, maybe even a brown dwarf, which scientists think that was captured by the sun's gravity. But as the planet started to form, it ended up midway in the Oort cloud. They made this theory up to solve the mysteries behind comets coming from random directions or random points of the solar system, because scientists didn't think it was a normal thing for comets to happen. Now, moving to our next topic, that is the hypothetical ice giants. The first hypothetical ice giant is Planet X. Now, the theory of Planet X can be traced back during the first civilization known as the Mesopotamian civilization, in which people created a concept of a world that existed in the edge of the solar system known as Nibiru. It appeared as a red cross or a red dot in the night sky, and they believed that their so-called gods and deities would visit Earth from that exact planet. This theory also started to become popular in the early 20th century as scientists started to look for this planet, and eventually found Pluto as a result, and they thought this was Planet X. But then scientists said that this could not be Planet X because it is very far away and it is an ice giant. Now, Planet X has many theories regarding its banishment or ejection from the solar system. The two major theories are that around 3.9 to 3.8 billion years ago, after the late heavy bombardment, Jupiter came back to its orbit and sent like a gravitational shock wave or something like that, causing Planet X to get flung out of the solar system in the huge space between the Kuiper belt and the scatter disk. Another theory is that in the early solar system there were around 20 rocky planets and Jupiter was inside the inner solar system. But then an event known as the Grand Tack occurred, in which Jupiter started to come to its new current orbit because of Saturn's gravity, causing the destruction of these rocky planets and eventually leading to Planet X getting ejected from the solar system. And from the debris, a new generation of rocky planets emerged. Now, even though we don't have much solid evidence, scientists are still looking for this Planet X to see if it actually exists out there or not. The other hypothetical ice giant we have is Boreas. Now, Boreas isn't really an ice giant, it's just a huge super Earth made up of rocks and ice, which is hypothesized to have collided with Uranus, causing it to be tilted on its axis, forming its rings, which eventually formed its 28 moons we know of today. This was all about the hypothetical ice giants. Now we'll move to our next topic, that is the hypothetical dwarf planets. Now, Polaris is a proposed hypothetical dwarf planet which scientists believe existed between the orbits of Mercury and the Sun and could have collided with Mercury, which is why it is so small. But we still don't have any solid evidence for this one. Now, moving to our last topic, we have the hypothetical moons. First is on the list is Neith. Neith is hypothesized to be Venus's lost moon, about the same size as our moon and around the same distance from Venus as our moon is from the Earth. But due to some gravitational anomalies or disturbances, it got ejected or flung out of its orbit and beyond the solar system. But this is also not been proven. Then the next hypothetical moon is Chrysalis, which is believed to have existed until 100 to 50 million years ago, when it got a bit too close to Saturn's Roche limit and disintegrated and started to form its rings within a span of a few days or weeks. Now, the Roche limit is a boundary type structure of this around a celestial body, and if a smaller celestial body passes it, the gravity is like enough to like rip the planet into or celestial body into pieces. So viewers, this was all for today. I hope you liked my video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, give a big thumbs up and share it to your friends. This was all for today. Take care. Allah Hafiz.